Hi, welcome back to my channel, So Very Domestic. I'm May, and today I'm going to share a recipe with you for chocolate chip cookies that are both vegan and gluten-free, and they're amazing. So these cookies are gluten-free and vegan. They start with 1.5 cups of almond flour and 3 tablespoons of coconut flour. We've also got 3/4 cup of baking soda, and I should have a pinch of salt there, but I don't. I'll get that. 2 tablespoons of melted coconut oil, 3 tablespoons of nut butter, which I'll circle back to in just a second, 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, a splash of vanilla, and 2.5 ounces of vegan chocolate. I went with these Enjoy Life vegan chocolate chips. And the note about the nut butter is I originally bought this classic creamy almond butter to use as my base, but then I realized I needed 3 tablespoons and I only have 2 in this packet. So I decided to use 1 tablespoon of the sunflower seed butter with 2 tablespoons of this classic creamy almond butter. I think they'll go well together. So before you do anything, preheat the oven to 350 degrees and line your cookie sheet with either parchment paper or one of these mats. So I have my whisk attachment on my KitchenAid, and I've got 1.5 cups of almond flour in there already. And then I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of coconut flour and 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda and my pinch of salt. And then I'm just going to let that mix up for a little bit, just to make sure that it's all mixed in together well. Okay, now in a different bowl, I'm mixing in my 2 tablespoons of melted coconut oil with my 1/4 cup and 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. I've also got my splash of vanilla and the 3 tablespoons of nut butter. That's going to take 2 hands to get out of here, but I did mix the 2 tablespoons of almond butter with the 1 tablespoon of sunflower seed butter. Mix this together before I add it to the dry ingredients in the mixer. The only tricky bit here is the nut butter, to make sure that it's totally mixed in and isn't chunky at all. So take the time to go over that and make sure it's not chunky so it's all evenly distributed. I've switched my mixer to the paddle attachment, and now I'm just going to pour the wet ingredients into the dry. So I'm tossing in my chocolate chips now. I'm going to mix that up, and because my kitchen is pretty warm, I'm actually going to pop this dough in the fridge for about 20 minutes and then shape it into cookies. I'm going to put these in for 10 minutes and see how they look. And here they are after 10 minutes. They look pretty good. Kind of the weird thing about vegan cookies is you're not waiting for the eggs to cook, and these cookies really aren't supposed to spread or rise much. They do puff up a little bit. I think I'm gonna leave these on a rack to cool and then put in my second batch also for 10 minutes and then just see if these ones, once they're cool, are ready. So 10 minutes it is. They seem undercooked and a little squishy when they come out of the oven, but then once they set up, they're actually perfect this way. So here's hoping they're a hit. Okay, so great news. I was going to put all these cookies on a cute tray and take a little picture, which of course I will still do. But my husband came in here and asked if they were ready because he's snacky and doesn't have anything that's gluten-free, vegan for him to eat right now. He's not vegan, he just can't do dairy or eggs. So in baking, that means vegan, right? Anyway, so he came out here to try one and he ran off with like more than half a batch. So that's good news because he is probably the pickiest eater I've literally ever met. So that's a huge win for these cookies that he ran off with a bunch of them. So there's a little PSA about these cookies that I think is totally hilarious. The sunflower seed butter in them, and remember, out of the 3 tablespoons of nut butter, only 1 of those tablespoons was sunflower seed butter. The sunflower seed butter in them turns them slightly green, and they become more green the longer they cool. So when I first made them, I took a bite out of one of them. The inside looked normal, like everything was fine. Then right after that, while they were still warm, my husband came in the kitchen. He had one, loved them, took literally like half a dozen away with him and kept eating them. Everything was fine. Then way later in the evening, he came out and got more. And then, you know, we were sitting in the office together. He takes a bite and he's like, isn't that neat? They're kind of green. I thought they're not supposed to be green. That's weird. So I start Googling, and not only are people posting pictures of these green cookies they've made when they're using all sunflower seed butter. Like some recipes have maybe a quarter cup of sunflower seed butter and their cookies are super green. It is hilarious to me. So that's my PSA. Do not be alarmed when you bite into a cookie a couple hours after it's cooled off and discover it's green. You haven't poisoned yourself. It's fine. These cookies were actually born out of some dietary changes happening around our house. You know, we have like a gluten issue and we have a dairy issue. And so I just really needed to come up with a recipe that worked for everybody. And I also really wanted to try out more of these Wild Friends nut butters. My oldest is hooked on the chocolate almond nut butter, but they have cashew and almond, of course, and peanut and sunflower seed and a few variations of those with other flavorings and things like that. So I really want to experiment with a lot of those kind of nut butters and doing different combinations to make these cookies. And then of course we can really go as DIY as possible and make chocolate chips, which I have done, but honestly not in 8 years, I guess. Yeah, 2010 was the last time I got crazy scratch cooking and made like absolutely everything. So I'm going to see if I can cross that bridge again. If I do and make a video about it, I will of course link it here. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear how it turned out for you, or if you have hilarious experiences with cookies or whatever baked goods turning green from sunflower seed butter. I would love to hear about that because that is new information to me and I thought it was hilarious. So as always, thank you so very much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up to show some support and subscribe to my channel for new videos. Thank you so much. Bye.